Hey everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something I think a lot of us think about at some point, career transitions.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because, even though people change jobs a lot over their lifetime, the whole idea of actually switching careers, it still feels really daunting to so many
It
people.
really does.
It's like this unspoken fear we have
It's true.
around like shaking things up professionally.
Yeah, it's like we know it happens all the time,
Right.
but when it comes to our own lives, suddenly it's this like huge life-altering decision.
Yeah.
And I think that's why our source is really focused on the emotional side of career transitions.
hmm
It's not just updating your resume, it's about like navigating this whole wave of like feelings and uncertainties.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the sources highlight that, this fear of the unknown, that is a major factor.
Yeah.
We're so wired for routine that stepping outside of our, familiar job can really trigger those, those self-doubt alarms. And then on top of that, you've got all those practical things to consider.
Right.
The financial side of it,
Yeah.
learning new skills, fitting into a whole new workplace culture.
Exactly.
It's no wonder people feel overwhelmed.
It's almost like this internal tug of war.
Yeah.
You've got, on one side, you've got this incredible potential for growth
Mm-hmm.
and reinvention. But then on the other side, you're like,
Right.
what if I lose part of my identity?
Totally.
Especially if you've been in a certain field for a long time.
Yeah, and the sources actually used Michelle Obama as a really powerful example of this.
Oh, interesting.
Transitioning from first lady to author and speaker, that wasn't just a career change for her.
Right.
That was a complete identity shift.
Totally.
And she talked very openly about how challenging that was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, that's so relatable because it makes you think like,
Uh-huh.
if Michelle Obama feels those anxieties, then it's totally normal for the rest of us to question ourselves too.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's where things get really interesting. Despite all those anxieties, our sources also found some amazing stories about people who made bold career changes and just thrived.
Oh, yeah, some great stories.
Like Howard Schultz, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine going from growing up in poverty to like completely revolutionizing the coffee industry? With Starbucks, that's not just a job change.
Right.
That's a life transformation.
And what's so remarkable is that he didn't even start in the coffee industry.
Oh, really?
He was in sales.
Wow.
But, he had this vision. He saw the opportunity and took a leap of faith.
That's so inspiring because it reminds me of Vera Wang.
Yes.
Can you believe she didn't design her first wedding dress until she was 40?
Wow, I did not know that.
Before that, she was a journalist and a fashion editor.
Oh.
Talk about proving it's never too late to reinvent yourself.
That's a great example of how our career paths aren't always these, straight lines.
No, they're not.
They can twist and turn in unexpected ways, and sometimes those unexpected turns lead us to our greatest successes.
That's a good point.
It really shows the power of staying open to possibilities, even if they seem to come out of left field.
Absolutely. And speaking of unexpected paths, how can we forget Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Oh, yeah.
From professional wrestler to Hollywood A-lister, with producing and entrepreneurial ventures on top of that.
Wow.
He's built this whole empire across different fields.
Yeah, and I think what's fascinating about these stories and something the sources emphasize
Yeah.
is they all demonstrate this power of exploring new avenues.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes taking that calculated risk and stepping outside of your comfort zone, it can lead to incredible opportunities.
I love that. So we've talked about this roller coaster of emotions
Yeah.
that come with career transitions, the fears,
Yeah.
the excitement, that possibility reinvention.
Right.
But let's get practical for a minute.
Yeah.
What did our sources say about actually like navigating this whole process?
Okay.
Where do we even begin?
Well, one of the key takeaways was, getting really crystal clear on your why before you even do anything else. They called it goal clarification.
Okay.
And it's all about understanding what you truly want out of your next chapter.
So it's not just finding any job. It's finding the right job,
Exactly.
the one that aligns with what you actually want to be doing.
Yes. And that might not even be just about the job title or the salary.
Right.
It's about figuring out what success really means to you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for more fulfillment,
Yeah.
more work-life balance, maybe a chance to make a bigger impact in a certain area?
Right.
You need to define those measures of success for yourself.
So it's like having a destination in mind before you even start mapping out the route.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Once you have that clarity, then
Right.
what did our sources have any advice on how to practically go about finding those opportunities.
Yeah, they really emphasize the importance of research.
Okay.
They said that learning everything you can about that new industry or role that you're considering is crucial.
But wouldn't that involve a lot of reading and studying?
It can.
If you're switching to a completely different field,
Yeah.
wouldn't you basically be starting from scratch?
You're right. It can feel overwhelming, but the sources suggested talking to people who are already in that field.
Oh, okay.
They can give you firsthand insights, share their experiences, and potentially even open doors they didn't even know existed.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's like getting the inside scoop,
Yeah.
right? But how do you even find those people to talk to?
Well, that's where the power of networking comes in.
Okay.
The sources pointed out that something like 70 to 80% of jobs are found through networking.
Wow, that's huge.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
So it's not just what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
So reach out to your existing contacts, go to industry events,
Okay.
even join online communities
Got it.
that are related to your new field.
Okay.
You never know who might have a lead or some valuable advice for you.
It's like building your own team of career navigators,
Yes.
right? People who can help you chart the course and avoid any potential roadblocks. But what if you're worried about not having enough experience in that new field?
Yeah.
Do you think our sources had any advice on how to bridge that gap?
They had a really interesting point about that.
Okay.
They said, don't underestimate the power of transferable skills.
Oh, so even though you're changing fields, you're not starting from zero?
Exactly.
You've got a whole set of skills you've built up over time
Yeah,
that can be valuable in a new context.
exactly. Things like communication, leadership, problem solving. Those are needed in pretty much every field.
That's really reassuring. It's like reframing how you view your past experiences
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing how those skills can translate into this new path.
Totally.
But let's be honest, starting something new can be pretty intimidating,
Yeah.
especially when you're surrounded by people who seem like they already know everything.
It's natural to feel a bit of that imposter syndrome when you're stepping into a new environment.
So how do we overcome that feeling of not being good enough or qualified enough? Did our sources have any tips for dealing with self-doubt during this transition?
Yes, they did. And I think this is where things get really insightful.
Okay.
They emphasized embracing a beginner's mindset.
So it's about giving yourself permission to not know everything right away,
Yeah,
to be okay with asking questions and learning as you go.
exactly. It's about shifting your focus from trying to be perfect to focusing on growth and learning,
Okay.
which can really take the pressure off and make the transition feel less overwhelming.
That's such a great point because it's not about being an expert on day one.
Right.
It's about having the willingness to learn and grow into that new role.
Absolutely. And the sources had some fascinating insights on how to build confidence during this phase, too.
Well, in that case, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll delve into those strategies for building confidence and tackling that inner critic head on.
Sounds good. Picking up on that idea of embracing a beginner's mindset, our sources really emphasize how important our mindset is during these career transitions. It's not just about those external steps that we take, like networking or skill building.
Right.
It's also about the internal work that we do to approach this whole process with a positive, growth-oriented perspective.
So it's like having the right mental tools to navigate the ups and downs
Yeah.
of this whole journey. Because let's be real, it's not always going to be smooth sailing.
Exactly. And one of the tools that they highlight is the power of visualization.
Oh, interesting.
They talk about how just imagining yourself succeeding in that new role or industry can actually help you manifest those outcomes.
So it's not just daydreaming. It's about intentionally creating that mental picture
Yes.
of yourself thriving in that new environment.
Exactly. And by visualizing yourself in that role, feeling those positive emotions
Okay.
that are associated with success,
Mm.
you're essentially programming your subconscious mind
Wow.
to believe it's possible.
It's like giving your brain a sneak peek
Yeah.
of the future you want to create.
Yeah.
I can see how that could be incredibly
but-
powerful, especially when those doubts start creeping in.
And speaking of doubts, one of the things that the sources highlighted was the importance of seeking out mentors or role models
Okay.
who have successfully navigated similar career changes.
So it's like having someone who's already walked the path, can show you the ropes.
Yes.
Someone who can offer guidance and support based on their own experiences.
Exactly. A mentor can provide practical advice, share their insights, and even help you avoid, potential pitfalls that they might have encountered.
It's like having a career Sherpa guiding you through the unfamiliar terrain
I like that.
of a new industry or role.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, especially if you're feeling a bit lost or unsure of yourself.
Right.
but finding a mentor that can be intimidating in itself. Did the sources offer any tips on how to go about doing that?
They suggested something really simple.
Oh.
They said it doesn't have to be this formal long-term commitment.
Right.
It could be as easy as reaching out to someone you admire in your desired field and asking for a quick informational interview,
Okay.
or even just a coffee chat.
That's a great idea. It takes the pressure off, and you never know where that initial conversation might lead.
And just the act of sharing your aspirations with someone who's already achieved what you're aiming for
Yeah.
can be so validating and encouraging.
It's like having someone believe in you, even when you might be doubting yourself.
Exactly.
And that can make a world of difference, especially during those tough moments when you're questioning if you're on the right track.
Absolutely. And speaking of tough moments, the sources also emphasize self-care during career transitions.
That's a better.
They point out that this process can be emotionally taxing.
Yeah, for sure.
So prioritizing your well-being is crucial.
So it's not about pushing yourself to the limit. It's about recognizing that you need to take care of yourself
Yeah,
in order to show up as your best self.
exactly. Practices like mindfulness meditation or even just taking regular breaks to kind of recharge can make a huge difference.
Okay.
Taking care of your mental and physical health equips you to handle the challenges and stress
Yeah.
that inevitably come with making a big change.
It's like making sure you have enough fuel in the tank to power through this journey. If you're running on empty, it's going to be that much harder to stay focused and motivated.
Absolutely. Self-care is not selfish. It's essential.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that you're not a machine
Right.
and that you need to replenish your energy reserves to perform at your best. And sometimes self-care can be as simple as taking a walk in nature, listening to your favorite music,
I like that.
or spending time with loved ones. Just find those activities that bring you joy and help you de-stress.
It's about finding that balance between pushing yourself and giving yourself permission to rest and recharge.
Yes.
Because let's face it, one of the biggest fears that people have when considering a career change is that fear of failure.
Totally.
Right? What if it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
What if I made the wrong decision?
That's a very common fear, but the sources offered a really powerful reframe.
Okay, what's that?
What if, instead of viewing failure as the setback, we saw it as a learning opportunity?
That's such a great shift in perspective.
It is.
So it's not about avoiding failure at all costs.
Right.
It's about reframing how we view those so-called failures
Yeah.
and extracting those valuable lessons from them.
Exactly. They emphasize the importance of embracing a growth mindset,
Okay.
where challenges are seen as opportunities to learn and evolve rather than threats to our self-worth.
So it's about changing that internal dialogue from I can't do this
Yeah.
to I'm learning how to do this.
Yes.
And I can see how that could make a huge difference in how we approach those challenges.
It transforms the whole experience,
Yeah.
allowing us to approach those challenges with curiosity and a willingness to experiment,
Oh, okay.
knowing that even if things don't go exactly as planned,
Yeah.
we're going to come out of it having learned something valuable.
It's like those setbacks become stepping stones
Mm-hmm.
on our path to success rather than roadblocks that stop us in our tracks.
Exactly.
That's a much more empowering way to look at it.
And speaking of empowering, one thing that the sources highlighted was the importance of celebrating your successes along the way.
So it's not just about focusing on that end goal. It's about acknowledging those small wins along the way.
Yes. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind of the transition
Right.
and lose sight of how far you've come. So taking the time to acknowledge your achievements, big or small, can boost your motivation and remind you of your progress.
It's like placing milestones along your journey.
Mm-hmm.
To mark your progress and celebrate those mini victories, it could be as simple as treating yourself to a nice dinner
Yeah.
after a successful interview or sharing your accomplishments with your support system.
What's fascinating is the psychological impact of celebrating those wins.
Okay.
It reinforces positive behaviors, it builds confidence,
Yeah.
and it helps us stay motivated to keep moving forward.
It's like giving ourselves a well-deserved pat on the back for all the hard work we're putting in.
Exactly. But let's be honest, career transitions rarely happen overnight. They take time, effort, and a lot of patience.
And patience.
Right. It's a process that unfolds in its own time.
Mm-hmm.
And the sources emphasize the importance of trusting that timing.
So it's not about rushing through it. It's about embracing the journey
Yeah.
and allowing things to unfold in their own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most important growth happens during those waiting periods.
Oh, that's interesting.
When we're forced to confront our doubts, refine our goals, and really build resilience.
It's like that saying, everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe those delays are actually opportunities for us to learn and grow in ways we hadn't anticipated.
I like that perspective. And speaking of perspective,
Okay.
the sources also highlight the importance of trusting our intuition during times of transition.
So it's not just about listening to external advice or following conventional wisdom.
Right.
It's about tuning into that inner voice that tells us what feels right.
Exactly. It's like having this internal compass that points us toward our true north,
I like that.
even if it goes against what everyone else is saying.
That can be scary, though.
It can.
What if our intuition leads us down the wrong path?
That's a valid concern, but what's fascinating is that sometimes that inner voice might whisper something that seems illogical or risky.
Yeah.
But more often than not, it's guiding us toward a path that's more aligned with our authentic selves,
Okay.
even if it doesn't make sense on paper.
It's like trusting that gut feeling, even when it goes against what our heads are telling us.
Yeah.
So it's about finding that balance between logic and intuition,
Mm-hmm.
making informed decisions,
Mm-hmm.
while also honoring that inner voice that knows us best.
Exactly. And speaking of finding balance, the sources also brought up something that I think often gets overlooked during these career transitions.
What's that?
The importance of maintaining a sense of playfulness and curiosity throughout the process.
That's an interesting point, because when you're making such a big change, it's easy to get bogged down in the seriousness of it all.
Yes, you're so focused on making the right decision
Right.
and succeeding that you forget to enjoy the ride.
So it's about remembering to have fun with it, to allow ourselves to be curious and explore different avenues without that fear of judgment or failure.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is the link between playfulness and creativity. When we allow ourselves to experiment, take risks, and not take things too seriously,
Yeah.
we tap into this wellspring of creativity that can lead to innovative solutions and unexpected breakthroughs.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be curious, to ask those what-if questions, and to approach the whole process with a sense of wonder and possibility. That's such a refreshing way to look at it.
It is, and it leads to another thought.
Okay.
Going through a career transition can be pretty isolating,
It can.
especially if you feel like you're the only one in your circle going through it.
Yeah,
Did the sources have any suggestions for combating that feeling of isolation?
I would hope so.
Did they emphasize the power of community during times of transition?
So it's about connecting with others who are going through similar experiences.
Yes.
Sharing your challenges, celebrating your wins, and just learning from each other's journeys.
Exactly. Whether it's an online community, a local networking group, or simply a few trusted friends
Yeah.
who are also navigating career changes, connecting with others who understand what you're going through can make a world of difference.
It's like having a tribe of fellow adventurers cheering you on and offering guidance along the way.
Yeah.
That can be so empowering, knowing that you're not alone on this journey.
And what's fascinating is that human need for connection, especially during times of uncertainty or change.
Right.
Sharing our experiences with others who can relate to our struggles and our triumphs can help us feel seen, heard, and supported,
Okay.
which ultimately boosts our confidence and our resilience.
It's like knowing that you're not the only one going through this, that there are others out there who are facing similar challenges and celebrating similar victories. That sense of shared experience can be so comforting and inspiring.
Absolutely. And that leads us to another key point that the sources brought up: the importance of self-reflection throughout this process.
So it's not just about blindly moving forward. It's about taking that time to pause,
Yeah,
step back,
right.
and really assess your progress.
Exactly. It's like checking in with your internal GPS
I like that.
to make sure you're still headed in the right direction.
Okay.
Are your actions aligned with your goals? Are you enjoying the process? What have you learned along the way?
Right.
These are all valuable questions to ask yourself periodically.
Yeah.
To make sure you're on a path that feels both fulfilling and sustainable.
It's about becoming the architect of our own lives.
Yeah.
Consciously designing a career path that reflects our talents, our passions, and our purpose.
And that brings us to something that the sources highlighted that I found really insightful:
Yeah.
the importance of celebrating our progress no matter how small.
So it's about acknowledging those small wins.
Yes.
Those little victories that add up to something much bigger.
Exactly. It's easy to get so caught up in the what's next that we lose sight of how far we've already come. It's true.
Taking time to acknowledge our achievements, big or small, it can boost our motivation
Yeah.
and remind us that we're capable of achieving our goals. It's about shifting our focus from what we haven't accomplished yet to what we've already achieved.
Right.
And recognizing that every step forward is a victory worth celebrating.
It's like giving ourselves that well-deserved pat on the back for all the effort, the courage, and resilience we've shown along the way.
Exactly. And those celebrations, no matter how small,
Yeah.
can provide that much-needed boost of energy and enthusiasm
Okay.
as we continue on this journey.
So as we delve deeper into this exploration of career transitions, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences. What challenges have you faced?
Yeah.
What victories have you celebrated? What lessons have you learned along the way? Keep those reflections in mind as we continue uncovering these valuable insights and strategies for navigating this exciting and sometimes daunting phase of our professional lives.
And as we continue, I encourage you to consider the role of resilience in this process.
Career transitions, they're rarely a smooth, linear path.
No, they're not.
There will be setbacks, disappointments, and moments of doubt.
That's true.
But it's our ability to bounce back from those challenges, to learn from our mistakes, and to keep moving forward that ultimately determines our success.
It's like developing the mental and emotional muscles to withstand those inevitable ups and downs of this journey. Knowing that we have the strength and determination to overcome any obstacle that comes our way.
I like that.
And that resilience, that unwavering belief in ourselves and our ability to succeed is what will ultimately carry us through to the other side of this transition. Stronger and more capable than we ever thought possible.
And that leads us to another really important point.
Okay.
The importance of seeking support when we need it.
Okay.
Career transitions can be isolating, and it's easy to feel like we're going through this alone.
True.
But there are resources available
Right.
from career coaches to online communities.
Right.
That can provide guidance, encouragement, and a sense of belonging during this time.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders, mentors, and fellow travelers by our side,
Yeah.
reminding us that we're not alone on this journey and that there are people who believe in us and want to see us succeed.
What's so fascinating here is the power of human connection.
Yeah.
Especially during times of uncertainty or change.
Totally.
Sharing our experiences with others who can relate to our struggles and triumphs can help us feel seen, heard, and supported, which can boost our confidence and resilience.
It's like knowing that we're not alone on this journey, that there are others out there who are facing similar challenges and celebrating similar victories. And that sense of shared experience can be incredibly empowering. So as we continue exploring this multifaceted world of career transitions, I encourage you to reach out to your support system.
Yeah.
Whether it's friends, family mentors, or online communities, share your experiences, ask for advice, and celebrate each other's successes.
And remember, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and self-awareness.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we don't have to go through this alone,
Right.
and that there are people who are willing and able to support us along the way. So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I invite you to reflect on the resources and support systems that are available to you. Who are the people you can turn to for guidance and encouragement? What communities or organizations can provide you with valuable information and connections? Keep those resources in mind.
Got it.
As we continue uncovering these insights and strategies for navigating these career transitions with confidence and resilience.
Yeah, it is really reassuring to know that we have all these resources and a whole community we can tap into during these transitions. But even with all that support, there's still that moment where you have to actually take the leap of faith and make that move. And that part can feel really overwhelming.
That's where the sources highlight the importance of action steps. You know, it's one thing to think about making a change, but we have to actually translate those thoughts into tangible actions.
Right.
And they emphasize breaking down that transition into smaller, more manageable steps.
So instead of getting bogged down by this enormity of the entire change, it's about creating a roadmap with clear milestones along the way.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. And what's so fascinating is that psychological impact of taking action. Even those small steps forward can create momentum, which can boost our confidence and keep us moving forward. It's like this positive feedback loop.
It's like that feeling of accomplishment you get when you check something off your to-do list. Even if it's a small win, it reinforces this belief that you're making progress toward your goal.
Exactly.
And those small wins can really add up over time.
Absolutely. And speaking of celebrating those wins, the sources really emphasize acknowledging and celebrating those successes, no matter how small, throughout the process. It's easy to get caught up in what's next and lose sight of how far you've come.
So it's not just about reaching that destination. It's about acknowledging and appreciating the journey along the way.
Yes, exactly. Those milestones that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Whether it's landing an informational interview, learning a new skill, or simply making a decision about your career path, it's important to take a moment to celebrate those victories.
Yeah, I love that.
They're all contributing to your overall growth and progress.
It's like giving yourself permission to acknowledge your effort and your hard work.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, going through a career transition, it is a lot of work.
It is.
It's a journey with its own unique challenges and rewards.
And as we wrap up our deep dive today, I think that's the biggest takeaway.
Okay.
Remembering that this is a journey, not just a destination. There will be ups and downs, unexpected turns, and moments of both exhilaration and doubt.
It's like navigating a winding path.
Yeah.
You might not always know what's around the bend, but the journey itself is where the growth and the transformation happens.
What's so remarkable is the transformative power of this entire process.
By embracing those challenges, learning from our experiences, and staying true to our vision, we emerge from these transitions stronger, more resilient, and more in tune with who we truly are.
It's like going through a metamorphosis. You shed old layers and emerge with this renewed sense of purpose and direction.
As you continue on your career journey, remember that each step, no matter how small, is a step toward a future that aligns with your passions, your values, and your aspirations. And while the path may not always be easy, the reward of pursuing work that truly fulfills you is immeasurable.
So as we close out our deep dive today, I think it's important to remember that your dream career is out there. Embrace the journey, celebrate the wins, learn from the challenges, and never stop exploring the possibilities. And always remember, you've got this.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself and your ability to create a career and a life that you love.